A real privilege to be here. Thank you very much for having me. I was in Suffolk yesterday meeting with Healthwatch Suffolk, but obviously you're better than them. No, there are some amazing Healthwatch across England. Most of the Healthwatch across England are amazing. And at Healthwatch England, we hold Healthwatch Norfolk in very high esteem for the work that you have done. And we're very impressed, and I'm very impressed today, with the very close working relationship that Healthwatch has clearly got with the different parts of the system, public health, the ICB, the trusts and so on, as evidenced by this very distinguished panel here. So that's really great. And relationships are the key, aren't they, to ensuring that patient and public voice gets into the system, and then you guys change what you're doing because of the experience of people. So I can see that flow, and the questions were very, very good, and the answers were great. And one of the things, and there's a tiny bit of discussion about inequalities there, one of the things that Healthwatch Norfolk has done to really great effect is work on accessible information. And you've spoken about that a little bit. That, for me, feels really core to the Healthwatch movement. It's people who find it actually difficult to navigate systems and even, understand things like letters from GPs or from the hospital, or know who to ring, or what their advice is about a cancer pathway or their medicines. And one of the things that Healthwatch Norfolk has done brilliantly, I know, has done this work on accessibility, including digital exclusion, that's made a really huge difference. And that will reduce inequalities, because that's about equality of access. If you can understand the letters and you can understand your treatment and you know where to go, that's one of the really basic things about health and care. And for me, it's very important in at Healthwatch England and everything we do. Some of the things we're going to be focusing on, we're going to carry on banging on about access to GP services and about dentistry. And I know that you've been doing a huge amount there. Now, because of the work you've done, and because of the work Healthwatch England has done, you will notice that whatever you think of the new government, that both the Prime Minister and the Secretary of State for Health, with her ABCDs, has got doctors and dentists as a part of that. Now, I genuinely don't think that they would be mentioning dentists had it not been for the work that you've been doing over the years, and Healthwatch has been doing over the years. So that is a genuine achievement. We are feeding into what they might actually do, rather than just the kind of slightly superficial statements. But that's the achievement of Healthwatch England Network has been amazing. We are also going to focus on social care, because as colleagues have said, and as you all know, that the difficulties that lots of the health system are facing is because social care is broken. It means if you can't get the social care you need, then you're going to end up being transported to the hospital. If there isn't any social care for a care package to leave hospital, then this whole flow thing means that people are unnecessarily stuck in hospital and not getting the care they need. One of the things, so maternal mental health is another area that we're going to be looking at. So social care, access to primary care, maternal mental health, still a focus on long COVID, and a range of other areas that are going to be familiar to you. But one of the things I wanted to say today, and I'm only going to speak for a couple of minutes, is that nobody's really mentioned, there was a bit of an allusion to it, but nobody's really mentioned that this winter is going to be one, and already is one, of unprecedented pressures for the NHS and the social care system. So what does that mean for us? What does it mean for Healthwatch Network, Healthwatch England, the Healthwatch Network, and its relationship with health and care bodies? Well, it means that there is actual potential for more harm for patients and the public. If the ambulance doesn't turn up and somebody's fallen and they're on the floor for 7 hours, maybe they've got a hip fracture, then their risk of severe illness and death increases. So there are some really tricky issues coming up over winter. If there aren't beds in hospital, if A&E waiting times are very long, a whole range of issues. If people are still on waiting lists, they're not getting mental health care. then that's going to be really problematic. Workforce underlies that. So what can we do actually to help? Because sometimes over this winter, to be frank, because of all the pressures, even if we say this isn't working, the leaders in health and care might say, I'm really sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. So it might not be a performance issue. So what do we do to kind of support that? Well, one of the things I think we need to do is do more on supporting initiatives in the community to support people on the cost of living. And that has been referred to a little bit. You know, there was that thing on the Today programme this morning about people not being able to afford broadband at the moment and the implications of that on whether or not they're going to be getting digital appointments. So there are a range of things. I've started to hear that local Healthwatch are working with colleagues in the voluntary and community sector to direct people to food banks and to benefits advice. So it may be that we can help, and it may be that the ICB can say, yes, we're going to put some more into that to actually support people to be well, and indeed public health, support people to be well at home. And then I'm sure that you'll have a winter plan. Have you got a winter plan? Yes.
We have.
And one of the things I think Healthwatch need to do is feedback in real time how the winter plan is working. So sharing what the winter plan is and feeding back hopefully will be helpful to all of you. So that's another area. And then on supporting hospital discharge. So Healthwatch, for example, I don't know if you already do this, Alex, but Healthwatch in Brighton and Hove, for example, has had a programme of ringing people who leave hospital. Sometimes they don't need a full care package. Sometimes they just need somebody to check on them or bring them some food or, have somebody just visit to say hello. And that has shown to reduce emergency readmissions by something like 70%. So supporting discharge could be an option, and all the team will have an understanding of what might be best in that context. And then the other thing I would say is that Healthwatch is very good at being the critical friend and pointing out where services are not working, and that's absolutely right, that's our job. But at a time when morale in the NHS is probably at an all-time low, I think we should be really careful to also relay the positive experiences of health and care that people receive and get those back into the people who are working on the front line, so that at times they're hearing some good stories and they're hearing, actually, that worked really well and they had some really good care at the GP or in the hospital. So I think that balance, which I know some Healthwatch are really, really great at, would be good. So as well as the long-term strategic, what are we going to do in Norfolk and Waveney over the long term, I think finding a way to work together potentially a bit differently over winter might support patients, might support the NHS in the long term. So, just very briefly, one of the things that Alex mentioned was that brand awareness of Healthwatch Norfolk has gone up. And brand awareness of Healthwatch as a concept, as a movement, has gone up. It was 34% of the general public had ever heard of Healthwatch a couple of years ago. This year it's 40%, so it's gone up. That's an average. Healthwatch in the east of England is 50%. So hats off to your communications people. And all you need to do now is find the other 50% and let them know about Healthwatch. I'm going to end on a slightly serious note because I'm concerned about the financial sustainability of the Healthwatch network as a whole. Alex pointed out that grant and aid and funds have reduced over time. That's the case for everywhere in the country, from around about nearly 50 million being given to the Healthwatch network when it started out 10 years ago. It's now around 25 million. And that's a real worry because we are needed more than ever to feed back patient and public experience into the system. So ongoing support by the County Council and the Integrated Care Board, I think, will be really welcome and for Healthwatch Norfolk and Waveney. Final word is to pay tribute to the excellent work of Healthwatch Norfolk, as I say, held in incredibly high esteem by Healthwatch England. So thank you for everything you do to support patients, public and communities across this area.